Thank you. I'm Congressman Al Green, and I represent the 9th Congressional District in the state of Texas.
Now, President Trump and many Republicans love to tout that the economy is doing so well, and I think he thinks this will bolster his general election outcome. Is the economy doing well for your constituents in Texas and for Americans around the country?
The economy is not to be measured by employment alone because we have a good many people who are employed, but they're working for less than a living wage. No one should work full time and live below the poverty line. We have a good many people in the state of Texas, especially in my congressional district, who are doing it. A good many people from the Latinx community have multiple jobs so that they can take care of their families, and they don't have the benefits that a job would ordinarily accord them. So having a job is a good thing, but it doesn't mean that you'll be able to take care of your family and that you'll be a productive citizen with the job you have. Let's make sure that we not only have jobs, but that people have good jobs so that they can have time for their families as well as to take care of their families.
So speaking on the economy, what if we get a Democratic president in the next election, what are the chances you think we'll be able to raise the minimum wage to a livable wage?
I think that with a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate, it's a no-brainer. But I do know that there are a good many of my colleagues across the aisle who don't believe that there should be a minimum wage at all. It's not just that we shouldn't raise it. They don't think that it should exist at all. And I think that some of this is simply going to require having the votes in Congress to do it. The Republicans, who are friends, don't seem to have the will to do this. The minimum wage is the means by which we afford people not only a salary, but also dignity. There is dignity in work, but there's also a certain amount of dignity in being able to take care of your family with the work that you have, the product of that work providing you a living wage. So I think that Democrats are committed to a living wage. I don't believe that my colleagues on the other side are going to be as easily convinced, and as a result, we may have to have not only the presidency, but the House and the Senate to get the living wage that we deserve in this country. One more thing on this. There was a man in this country who made $3 billion in 1 year. $3 billion. I don't begrudge him in any way for making $3 billion in 1 year. I just want him to pay his fair share of taxes on the money that he makes. And for a minimum wage worker to make $3 billion will take thousands of years. Thousands of years. So we want to make sure that those who do make a good living and they are able to do this and have largesse, but pay taxes so that we can all have a society that has persons who are not as fortunate as some to have a living wage.
It's clear that income inequality has huge impacts for our democracy. It's clear that actions that Trump and Republicans have taken, the corruption, the total disregard for the rule of law, for the Constitution. Do you think our country can recover, our democracy can recover from the impact of Trump?
We can recover. I won't say to you that it will be an immediate recovery because the president has inculcated some things into society that will take a moment to eradicate. And the truth be told, a lot of this was there under the surface. He just weaponized it. He has weaponized hate in a way that I've not seen in my lifetime. And I remember George Wallace, but George was not as efficacious as this president in weaponizing hate. When this president came down the escalator and he said these very ugly things about persons from the Latinx community, he started a process that has caused us to not only want to make America great again, but it's causing many people to make America hate again. I think that we have a duty to undo this, but I don't know that we will undo it overnight because there are certain people now who feel emboldened by what the president has done. They believe that they can, with immunity and impunity, say things that they wouldn't say before. And a good example would be what happened in Charlottesville. Blood and soil. Jews will not replace us. These people, some of them work in institutions where I eat food or you might eat food. They work in places where persons who are considered minorities will try to get loans. They will have an impact on the people that they serve in these various places. So we cannot assume that it goes away when the president goes away. It will take some time, but I do believe that in time we can not only recover, but we can move forward in a much more progressive way.
Last question. Hopefully we'll begin to recover in November, the day after the election, because we're hoping Trump will lose. What's your prediction for November, and how can we guarantee a Democratic win?
I prognosticate that this president will not be the victor in November, but I say to you that it will be a close race, and I believe that to win, we've got to register everybody that can be registered to vote. To win, we've got to understand that the president is going to sling a lot of mud, and he's going to try to reduce his opponent to something less than a human entitled to dignity and respect. And in so doing, it will turn off a lot of people. So the challenge that we have is not to be turned off. First, register so that you can vote. But don't be turned off by the mud that you will see cast and placed on the adversary, whomever that happens to be, the person who's running against President Trump. There's going to be a lot of mud not only in the presidential election, but there's going to be mud in all of these elections, because this is the way people have concluded they can win, by demeaning and denigrating the person that is considered the opposition, to the extent that it becomes a base election, and then it becomes which base will turn out to the greatest extent. Don't give up. Don't be disappointed and disenchanted to the extent that you decide to stay home. This is a participatory democracy, and it works most efficaciously when you participate. Get out and vote. And by the way, take friends to the polls with you.
Thank you so much, Representative Green. I really appreciate your interview. Thank you so much. You heard it here first. Get out and vote this November. Vote in the primary. There's a primary coming to your state within the next few months. It could even have been yesterday. Make sure you register to vote for, if you're not registered, it might be too late for the primary, but check your state laws. Register for the general election in November and vote, vote, vote. As Representative Green said, this is a participatory democracy, and you must participate if you want to see change. We are live on Capitol Hill. We're hours before the State of the Union, and we are talking to members of Congress about a number of issues. We have more interviews coming up. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.